Hello everyone, and welcome back to Cryptid's Combo Corner. Today we're bringing the Enduring Ideal deck to the Penny Dreadful 500. The basic premise is that Enduring Ideal fetches out enchantments from our deck for free every upkeep. So we're going to get Overwhelming Splendor to turn our opponent's creatures into 1/1s, Curse of Death's Hold to turn our opponent's creatures into 0/0s. They immediately die, and they have no abilities. And then Dovescape counters all the non-creature spells they might cast. Once we're there, we can win the game easily with the Cruel Reality, which makes them lose 5 life every upkeep. And then, in addition to the Enduring Ideal, we have this Curse of Misfortunes as a backup to fetch the creature parts of our lock, Overwhelming Splendor and Curse of Death's Hold, as well as our kill condition of Cruel Reality. Top that off with some fast mana in Lotus Bloom and Dark Ritual and consistency from Profane Tutor, and we have a powerful combo deck. So let's dive into the games. Alright, here we are for round 1, and lucky, we won the die roll. However, this hand does not actually do anything, so we're going to mulligan. Honorbound usually does counterspell stuff, so both the Duress and the Orim's Chant are going to be good. I'm going to keep this hand and put Dovescape on the bottom. This is going to let us go turn 4 Curse of Misfortunes, which is fine. I think we're going to hold the Duress until the turn before we go off. Yeah, Lonely Sandbar indicates that it is the mono blue Librarian's deck, which just has a lot of counterspells and some aggressive threats to go along with them. Oh, okay, never mind. Well, still a counterspell deck, just a different counterspell deck. That is a very unfortunate draw. Overwhelming Splendor. We would really have in our deck to find off of this Curse of Misfortunes. It should be okay. So I'm going to cast this Duress now. Good thing we did. There is a repeal here that I would like to take away. I could take the repeal, could take the forbid. I think I would rather take the repeal, and then next turn we can upkeep Orim's Chant in response to our Lotus Bloom coming off of Suspend, and they will not be able to do any interaction to this Curse of Misfortunes. Or any of the rest of it, for that matter. Okay, cool. Orim's Chant says they can't cast spells this turn, which means that we get to land a Curse of Misfortunes, and their deck does not really have any way to remove it outside of repeal, which will require 6 mana that they currently do not have. So Curse of Misfortunes is going to find us probably Curse of Death's Hold next turn, which gives all of their creatures -1/-1, which means their fairies are all dead. It also notably turns off the Kiki-Jiki combo because Pestermite is a 1 toughness creature. So here we get Curse of Death's Hold. All of their creatures are dead. We're going to start firing up this Shambling Vent, probably. Like, I could try to tick up the Saltcrusted Steppe to cast this Overwhelming Splendor, but I think probably just going to be better to get him dead with the Shambling Vent plus the other curse left in our deck, which is Cruel Reality, which will hit them for 5 damage every upkeep. Okay, well they are making land drops. They might be able to repeal this this Curse of Death's Hold eventually. But for now, we'll get Cruel Reality. Solitary Confinement, not particularly useful at this point in time, but perhaps later. What do they have here? Are they just casting their dig through time? That would make sense. So while they're kind of dirtling around, let's talk about what we are going to do for sideboarding. For sideboarding, we are probably going to bring in the defense grids and the Boseiju. The primary way they have to interact with us is counterspells, although the repeal can also disrupt our Lotus Bloom by bouncing it to our hand on the turn that it comes off of suspend. Overall, I think this is a pretty good matchup. I think really the only card that gets us here is a repeal into a Pestermite or something. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the repeals cost 2 extra mana. There's another Shambling Vent, which is great. So even if they have a kicked Burst Lightning for this one or something, we'll still be able to attack them again next turn. Hieroglyphic Illumination, not in fact going to do it. So now, unless they have an answer to this cruel reality, they are going to die on their next upkeep. And we will go to a game 2. Okay, so Orim's Chant was pretty good there, but I think Defense Grid is going to be better. Duress, obviously good versus the counterspells. Curse of Silence out. Boseiju in. Do we want anything else? I don't think so. Ruined Halo is fine to name like Pestermite. We didn't see Kiki-Jiki or friends from them, but you know, it's good to have it out regardless. So I guess we could cut the Phyrexian Unlife. Okay, we can do that in game 3 if we get there. They are unlikely to be able to burn us out, so we can potentially cut the Phyrexian Unlife. This hand is interesting. Timeless Dragon is good if we strip their hand of repeals with these Duresses. It does not have any payoffs. However, given that this is going to be a grindy matchup, so I think we get to keep this. Overwhelming Splendor, not a card we really want to ever draw, but, you know, comes with the territory. Let's kick things off with just a Duress, just to see what they've got going on. We have another one here. Is this, okay, cool. Yeah, always happy to have a Duress eat a Spell Pierce. Next turn, they'll probably pass. We will cycle our Timeless Dragon, and then on turn 3, we can duress them to take any repeals they may have. I think we'll play basic planes here. Interesting that they still have Spark Spray in their deck. I guess it is technically a 1-mana cantrip. It does not have any targets versus us. Okay. Let's tap like this. If all goes well, we could potentially just use this Lotus Bloom to cast an Overwhelming Splendor, which is, you know, not great, but probably fine. Although that is a problem. So they have the combo here. I think we gotta take the Forbid and hope to rip something good off of the top. Probably a bad keep on my part. We just don't have any action going on. Oh, interesting. They did not play their Pestermite. I guess they can just play it this turn and then play their Kiki-Jiki next turn. Well, they don't have a land, so that's good for us. They still have a Spell Pierce. I see. They're going to tap down our Lotus Bloom to try and prevent us from doing any shenanigans. That's fine. I guess they can do that twice in a row, and that's a bit annoying. Still probably fine. I'm just going to bring back this Timeless Dragon and hope that they don't kill us next turn. It is likely that they kill us next turn. Yep. Cool. Alright. This is actually our worst matchup, probably, because they are both a fast combo deck and they play counterspells. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the Phyrexian Unlife, which buys us a turn at best, for this Disfigure, which gives us an out to them playing the Kiki-Jiki combo. Although this time we're on the play, and cumulative variance says that we haven't seen a Dark Ritual yet, so... Okay. This hand's a little slow, but it's got a Duress and Curse of Misfortunes, so if we draw any sort of acceleration, or even just 2 more lands, we're probably fine. I'm again going to hold the Duress until the turn before we try to resolve something. Okay, Lotus Bloom, a little late, but probably fine. They don't have blue mana yet, which is good for us. Second Lotus Bloom, would have preferred another land, but, you know, beggars, choosers, etc. We are going to Duress them next turn. And depending on how things go, like what we see, we may play this Solitary Confinement out. Oh man, okay. We really want all of our curses to stay in our deck, but... Interesting. Okay, so they have the combo and the mana to cast it. So what they are probably going to... okay, first of all, we're taking Forbid. It's a counterspell for our curse. Second of all, next turn we're probably going to have to cast this Solitary Confinement so that we don't lose to the combo. And then the turn after that, we can use the Lotus Bloom to cast a Curse of Misfortunes. Opponent really leaning into the 1-mana cyclers, which I think is pretty neat. They did cycle away their land, so... Okay, that's the last land that we know about. They probably drew another land. We know 3 of their 6 cards. So yeah, one of them almost certainly another land. So they're probably going to do the thing where they tap our Lotus Bloom on upkeep. That's fine. Oh god, Boseiju is great. If we draw Enduring Ideal next turn. Okay, no counterspells. Solitary Confinement is going to save us for a turn from their Kiki Jiki combo. Actually, 2 turns, so we can't die while this is in play. So they're probably going to slam Kiki next turn. We'll discard a Cruel Reality and cast a Curse of Misfortunes. Oh, okay. Not slamming Kiki is interesting. I guess they did not have the 5th land. Okay, there's the 5th land, but they have no blue mana, so they can't counter this Curse of Misfortunes. Great news for us. Okay, we'll discard our Cruel Reality. We'll cast our Curse of Misfortunes. And then, again, if we go get Curse of Death's Hold, we will kill their Pestermite, and they will no longer be able to combo or really pressure us with this improbable alliance. I guess we could have kept the Cruel Reality. Okay, yeah, we'll use Curse of Misfortune's ability. We'll get Curse of Death's Hold. And now that all their creatures are dead, we can just ditch the Solitary Confinement. Okay. I think I will take my turn suspending this Profane Tutor, because if we find Enduring Ideal for Dovescape, that plus this Curse of Death's Hold means the game will be locked up. And they can't even counter an Enduring Ideal because we have this Boseiju here. So Overwhelming Splendor means they can't activate abilities now. And you know, why not? Let's get the clock running. Okay, let's not get got by the Magic Online interface. It's a little awkward that we have to tap this Boseiju, but probably fine. Like, at this point, they can't really play creatures. Any creatures they play will have base toughness 1, and then get -1/-1 from our Curse of Death's Hold. So this is one of the 2 locks in the deck. Overwhelming Splendor, Curse of Death's Hold means that all of their creatures will instantly die as soon as they enter the battlefield, including that one. Which opponent I do not think realized. So now we get to go get our Enduring Ideal, cast it, get a Dovescape, and the game is over. Hell, we could even play, like, cast a Dovescape if we really wanted to, but I think, yeah, like, what other enchantments do we have in our deck? They tapped out. Yeah. Let's just go with the plan. Okay. Here is my uncounterable Enduring Ideal for Dovescape. You are now locked out of the game. These Shambling Vents will get it done eventually. And this is the lock. Whenever my opponent casts a non-creature spell, it gets countered, and they make a bunch of birds. Whenever my opponent's creatures enter the battlefield, they immediately die because they are 1/1s that get -1/-1. Cool. See you back for round 2. Alright, and here we are back again for round 2 of the Penny Dreadful 500. I don't think this hand is good enough. We can suspend a Profane Tutor on turn 2, but and like Saltcrusted Steppe does accelerate us, but we've got 2 of our important tutor targets in hand. Although, watch, part of the testing crew I run with is on black-white control, so Overwhelming Splendor not actually that important here. It's borderline. I think I'll mull. Immediately punished with a 0 lander. Like, if these 2 had been lands, we would, well, not snap keep it, but we would definitely consider it. As it is, ship it back. Ah, now this hand is perfect. We've got 4 lands, a Lotus Bloom, and an Orim's Chant, just in case. We can also use the Saltcrusted Steppe to crank up to get more mana, just in case we miss our land drop. I'm actually going to put back the Timeless Chant, or the Timeless Dragon, and the Orim's Chant here, because they are likely to have a lot of creature interaction, so the Timeless Dragon probably not going to be that impactful if we reanimate it as our backup plan. And the Orim's Chant would have been nice to have on the turn the Lotus Bloom was about to come off suspend. But as it is, it's not as necessary to the game plan as just making our land drops. Is this a Kaya? Oh no. Okay, well, Kaya, very good against us. I will discard the plains because the Caves of Koilos can get the Shambling Vent fired up. Profane Tutor is interesting. I think we have to discard it to the Kaya though. Yeah, okay, cool. So here's the plan. The plan is they have nothing. Next turn, Lotus Bloom comes off suspend and we cast Enduring Ideal to go get a Dovescape. The Dovescape is going to lock them out of non-creature spells. Rip. They had something. That's okay. We're going to draw an Enduring Ideal off the top, and everything is going to be great. Curse you, interactive decks, in your ability to stop me from winning the game. Now, they probably have a removal spell here, but I don't think I can risk that Kaya staying on the board. So we're going to see if we can take it off the board. Oh, wow. Okay. It just died. I was not expecting that. Oh, okay. There's another one. Sure. They do have to find a win condition that's going to stick around before I find an Enduring Ideal. Because, like I said, if we get a Dovescape in play in an Enduring Ideal resolving, that will just be game over for them. However, infinite lands, you know, not quite the same thing as an Enduring Ideal, but, well, you know, well, what you gonna do? Aha, yes, they have exiled my Lotus Bloom. No! Fortunately, with this Saltcrusted Steppe, we still have enough mana to cast an Enduring Ideal, unless they blow it up with a Vindicate or something. Okay, cool. That's probably game over. Thank you, Saltcrusted Steppe, for showing us your power. We'll just go the full Monty in case they have mana leak. They don't, or in case they have, what is it? The mana tithe. Not legal in this format, but you know. Maybe. So next turn, we're going to go get a... So Dovescape means they can't cast spells. Next turn, we're going to go get probably a Curse of Death's Hold. At some point, we need to get an Overwhelming Splendor so that they can't use their Blast Zone to kill our enchantments. But at this point, the game is basically over. Like, I don't know what they could have in their deck that would win the game here. My opponent also checking to see if they have anything in their deck to win the game here. Okay, they've decided their best bet is cranking up this Blast Zone, which makes sense. Because it's already at 3, if they play an untapped land here, we do have to get Overwhelming Splendor first to stop them from cranking up Blast Zone to 6. The good thing about Overwhelming Splendor is it shuts off activated abilities that are not Planeswalker abilities. So with this in play, they can't use their Blast Zone anymore. I guess I could have fired up the Shambling Vent and chunked in at the Kaya, but it's not really necessary. Like, at this point, the game is over. They might have a removal spell that they can cast to make a bunch of birds, and I would rather just wait until the coast is clear before I start shipping into the Kaya. Yep, and here they are. They have realized that I don't currently have a thing that stops their birds from dying. I will next turn. So they're making a bunch of birds in the hope that they can kill me that way. However, this Curse of Death's Hold is going to give all their creatures -1/-1, so the game is over. Cool. I think this is a kind of difficult matchup because of specifically Lost Legacy. What do we even want here? If they're smart, they have some Orim's Chants, but I don't know, that deck doesn't always play them. We definitely want the Duresses. Curse of Silence on Lost Legacy is a good thing to do. We don't really need the Phyrexian Unlife. Like, they're not going to be able to kill us quickly. Do we just want, like, another Ruined Halo? Another Curse of Silence? And take out an Orim's Chant? Curse of Silence naming, like, Duress or Binding Negotiation is generally fine in this matchup. Oh, they're playing Dark Ritual. We can probably just name Dark Ritual, and that'll be fine. Because the curse makes Dark Ritual cost more. Oh, this hand's great. We've got some acceleration and a tutor, and a Duress to take their interaction on turn 1. I am tempted to Dark Ritual, Duress, Profane Tutor here, just to blank their discard spells. In fact, that's what I am going to do. Duress you. We'll take the Binding Negotiation and suspend a Profane Tutor. It is a little awkward that it's going to come off of suspend on turn 3 instead of turn 4, because we won't have the mana to cast an Enduring Ideal, and so that will open us up to discard. But it should be fine. Like, yeah, this is a Phyrexian arena. Okay. With this Hall of Heliod's Generosity, I might actually get... I could get Curse of Misfortunes here. If I get Curse of Misfortunes here, I can play it with the Dark Ritual, and then that turns off their creatures. The problem is they probably have a bunch of Vindicates and stuff in their hand, and so that's not actually good. Okay. Profane Tutor, good card. Not going to suspend it here. Instead, I'm going to crank up the Saltcrusted Steppe so that we can cast a Enduring Ideal next turn. Well, that was the plan. My opponent has wisely opted to put discard spells in their deck against the combo deck. They have to take the Enduring Ideal here. If they don't take Enduring Ideal here, that means they have another counterspell. Or not another counterspell, they have another discard spell to take the Profane Tutor. Blast Zone, as previously mentioned, not actually that effective. Well, you know, better lucky than good. Oh. Okay, well, Thoughtseize Bug coming in clutch here for us. Here's an Enduring Ideal. Here's a Dovescape. Game over. We'll get the Splendor next turn, so the Blast Zone can't tick up. And then we'll get the... what's it called? The Curse of Death's Hold next turn. A little bit of light banter with my opponent here. For those of you that don't know, the Thoughtseize Bug is where you discard one of your opponent's cards and then they immediately draw it on the next turn. It's not actually a bug, it's mostly just the feel-bad aspect of discard, in that the... Yes. Okay, the opponent has cast a bunch of spells, and that you can take away the cards from the... Okay, what are we getting here? Overwhelming Splendor, yes, okay. You can take away the cards from the opponent's hand, but you can't take away the cards from the top of the opponent's deck. And thankfully, we did not draw any of our lock pieces, so my opponent is just going to deck out from this Phyrexian arena, or die to the Phyrexian arena, or we kill them with our very, very slow game plans of like Cruel Reality or Curse of Death's Hold. At this point, the game is over, and my opponent agrees. See you in round 3. Okay, here we are back for round 4 of the Penny Dreadful 500. This hand is okay. Lurrus of the Dream Den is a means... Okay, that probably means White Post. Which probably means this hand is fine because they're a pretty slow deck and we can just duress whatever interaction they have, crank up the Saltcrusted Steppe, and then be good to go. I don't know. I might regret this. We'll see. Oh, okay, never mind. We are probably losing game 1. They are aristocrats. Okay. You know, sometimes you get... Some days you are the boot, and some days you are the piece of trash on the side of the road the boot steps on. Looking like a trash kind of day. Well, that's not true. We've won a lot of games so far, and we have good interaction for this matchup. So I think, in the long run, I think this matchup is fine, but I definitely should have kept a faster hand. So let's get some information here. Okay, well... If this Overwhelming Splendor were not in our hand, we probably would have been okay. because next turn we would have been able to make 5 mana and cast this Curse of Misfortunes. Oh, never mind, we would have just been dead. Yeah, anyway, Curse of Misfortunes naturally gets Overwhelming Splendor on Suspend. Yep, okay, let's clean turn 4 kill from our opponent here. Fortunately, we have a lot of good cards to bring in this matchup. So we'll see how the next one goes. So Duress bad, Orim's Chant bad, Curse of Silence bad. You know what is good? 2 mana, 1/3, gain 3 life. Just generally good against aggro. Disfigure also good against the tiny creature decks. We can even cut the Boseiju because the Boseiju costs us life, and bring in a Condemn because the Condemn is a removal spell. Any of these other things that we care about? I don't think so. Like, in this matchup, what we're looking for is removal spells, the Temple Acolyte to stay alive, and then a quick Curse of Misfortunes, because they don't have a way to deal with it, probably, outside of like Lost Legacy. And then if we can get Overwhelming Splendor, that turns off their Goblin Bombardment and all of their creatures. And then, obviously, Curse of Death's Hold kills all of their creatures as a state-based action. So a bit of a goof game 1, misreading my opponent. This hand is awesome. We have a couple of interactive spells, a couple of Lotus Blooms. It is a bit unfortunate that we don't have anything to make colored mana until we put a counter on this Saltcrusted Steppe, but I think we'll be okay. So here we start charging up our step. Next turn, depending on what we draw, we may just jam this Temple Acolyte as a blocker. If they play like a Goblin Bombardment, for example, then we can do that and not feel too bad about it. If they play a Dreadhorde Butcher, for example, we can play a Temple Acolyte and not feel too bad about it. Like, we're gonna have basically infinite mana next turn. So let's just make sure that we survive to a next turn. Okay. Remove a counter. Is it better just to disfigure? It might be better just to disfigure. And then if they don't do anything too scary, we don't even need to. We can charge up the Saltcrusted Steppe. 1/3 blocker is pretty good though. Yeah, let's just disfigure. Because Disfigure is going to gain us a bunch of life anyway. Okay. Add 1 white mana. Okay. Add 2 black mana. Cast Disfigure on your Dreadhorde Butcher. Dreadhorde had 0 power, so it will deal us 0 damage. We will lose this mana. That's okay. Next turn, we're going to have 2 Lotus Blooms coming off of Suspend. And they just have a bunch of random creatures, so depending on what we draw here, we might just go like Temple Acolyte in addition to our Curse of Misfortunes. Is that good? Timeless Dragon, probably good. Let's see, we have 8 mana. So we are definitely... Okay. Yeah, I think that works. For starters, let's just not mess this part up. Okay, here's a Curse of Misfortunes for you. A pox upon your house. And then we'll go get a Plains and play a Temple Acolyte, just to minimize the chances that we're going to die next turn. 1/3 blocker, good. Gain 3 life, good. Then this Curse of Misfortunes, the first thing it's going to get is an Overwhelming Splendor, just to turn off all of their creatures. And the second thing it's going to get is a Curse of Death's Hold. Unlike with the Enduring Ideal, we can still cast spells even after we've played our Curse of Misfortunes. So if we draw a non-Overwhelming Splendor card, it's not too big of an issue, I think. We do have to be a little wary of Price of Progress and other burn spells, but generally I think we are in good shape this game. Okay, there's a Dreadhorde Butcher. They're just gonna try and kill us. We're gonna try and not die. That's the plan. And, you know, a good summary of most of games of Magic when it comes to that. Okay, so now all of their creatures are 1/1s and they can't activate abilities. So we're just gonna stick around a little bit here. We could have suspended the Profane Tutor, but with the Condemn drawn, I guess probably best to suspend the Profane Tutor so we can go find our Enduring Ideal and get a Dovescape. That said, every point of life against a burn deck, and so our opponent is now just a burn deck. Every point of life matters, so. Okay. We'll condemn this and activate our storage land. Even if we draw more lands, I honestly might not play them because of Price of Progress. Do you have another creature? Ah, perfect. I was worried about Price of Progress. Okay, cool. Let's go get a Curse of Death's Hold. Now our opponent's creatures don't exist. Do we want to suspend Profane Tutor or just... I guess holding up Disfigure doesn't do anything, so we can go ahead and suspend Profane Tutor. Smack. Profane Tutor can grab a Dark Ritual, which we can use to get back Timeless Dragon. Okay, for our final piece, we have Cruel Reality. And now we have a 3-turn clock. Because every turn we're dealing 1 with this Temple Acolyte and 5 with the Cruel Reality. Actually, okay, for this Profane Tutor, we are in fact not going to get a we're not going to get a Dark Ritual, we're just going to get a Temple Acolyte, because the only way we win this game at this point is getting burnt out, so gaining 3 life sounds great to me. Like, we're not even playing this land because they are dead. and we might get got by Price of Progress. Okay, cool. So that worked a bit better. Lotus Bloom coming in clutch there. I don't have super high hopes for this game 3. Their deck is fast and tends to play a lot of discard, and so can kill us before we go off and also disrupt us so we go off slower. This hand is fine. It's got 2 removal spells. One of these removal spells we cannot cast. Okay, they did not play Duress on turn 1. Okay, well, now we have this here Shambling Vent that can cast our Dark Ritual and Friends. Yeah, so I think next turn I'm going to just... Okay, well, we're killing that. We're probably going to condemn their Minor. If we can land this Cruel Reality, we're probably not good. We probably need more than a Cruel Reality, unfortunately. But, you know, depending on what they have, it might be enough. Okay, those cards mean it's probably not enough. The Shambling Vent is going to be pretty good. It just blocks all of their stuff. Do I want to burn a Dark Ritual to block their Dread Wanderer with my Shambling Vent? I have a lot of mana. Like, I've got this Lotus Bloom coming off Suspend next turn. I think I will play I will plan to not do that. Because next turn... Yeah... It's tricky. They're going to be able to bring back their Dread Wanderer anyway, and I would have to take a damage off of the caves to be able to do that. So I think instead I will just pass here. Maybe they have nothing. Ever hopeful. Yeah, okay, there's another Dread Wanderer. I mean, if we can draw one of our good cards here. Okay. Boop. They have a Smash, which we will not take damage off of it, but I am glad that we did not burn this Dark Ritual. Because next turn, now we can... I needed to not tap the Saltcrusted Steppe. Next turn, I'm not even sure Cruel Reality is actually good here, because they're a deck that's built around sacrificing their own creatures. So instead, we will Dark Ritual to block the Shambling Vent. Or to block with Shambling Vent. Okay, let's block the Dread Wanderer. They'll have to bring it back, but that's fine. Right, they have a Lurrus. Okay, that's interesting. I don't think we survived to see this Profane Tutor come off Suspend. I think we just have to keep up this Shambling Vent activation. Because they're going to play a Lurrus, and then they're going to play a Vran, and then we're going to have to block with the Shambling Vent to kill the Dread Wanderer and still take a bunch. What is this? Oh, okay. yeah, there's Lotus. There's Fran. Yeah, we have started Operation Don't Die. I don't think it's going to be a very successful one. But you never know. If we rip an Enduring Ideal off the top, then we can get a Solitary Confinement and be fine. Oh my god. I should go buy lottery tickets. Dear Lord, this is absurd. Okay. Okay, so first thing that we're going to do is get a Shadow of the Second Sun, because that lets us block with our Shambling Vent if it comes down to it. Second thing that we're going to do is get, oh, a Lotus Bloom. Nice that we can't cast because of Epic. Second thing that we're going to do is get a Solitary Confinement, I think. Yeah, let's just not take any damage this turn. Although Vran does get through Solitary Confinement, which is unfortunate. Okay, sure. We take no damage, but we do lose our Shambling Vent. That is a bit unfortunate. So now we have to decide what cards we're getting. We get another turn of Solitary Confinement, but one of the issues with Shadow of the Second Sun is we will have to discard 2 cards a turn to keep the Solitary Confinement alive. Like, it's not a huge issue, but it is a little bit annoying. So, what do we get here? Well, if we have another turn, then we can just do the simple thing of Overwhelming Splendor. They have no cards in hand. That's our first get. We'll discard this Profane Tutor. We'll put a counter on the Saltcrusted Steppe just because why not? And then second one we'll get is Curse of Deathhold. All of their creatures are dead. We discard this. We still have a Solitary Confinement in play. Now we'll lose the Solitary Confinement, but we'll go get a Dovescape. And the Dovescape will make it so that they are fully locked out of the game. Second Enduring Ideal, not particularly useful, but yeah, opponent is dead. Cool. All right. Well, there we go. Through luck, skill, and a lot of luck, we have won the next round of our match. I'll see you in the next one. Hello, everyone, and we're back for the next round of the Penny Dreadful 500. Lucky as always, we are on the play. And this hand has a turn 3 Curse of Misfortunes on the play, and a turn 2 Suspended Profane Tutor, so they don't know what's up. Also, a turn 0 Lotus Bloom, so this hand actually has everything we want, except maybe a Duress. Hopefully they put the shields down on their turn 2, tap out for a threat or something, and our Curse of Misfortunes can just brutalize them. Orim's Chant, also fun. So the fun thing about this is Profane Tutor and Lotus Bloom together make a turn 4 Enduring Ideal. Okay, they have tapped out. We get to slam this Curse of Misfortunes. Illuminator Virtuoso means that they are probably on auras. So they will be able to pump the Illuminator Virtuoso out of range of death by the lock, but we'll still get to remove Double Strike off of it and generally make them have a bad time. So, security bypass, huh? Doing a lot of conniving over there. This card does not seem very good, but they are undefeated in order to be able to play against me. So oh, that's fun. It gets to connive twice because of Double Strike. That's very fun. Okay, yes, I will use Curse of Misfortunes. Let's just go ahead and get Overwhelming Splendor here. Now they have a 1/1 and a 4/4, which I'm significantly less scared of. So what am I getting with this Profane Tutor? They're a blue deck. They could have counterspells. Would it be crazy to just get a Shambling Vent? Or would it be crazy to get a Hall of Heliod's Generosity so that I can for sure play this Cruel Reality? I guess if I get a Dark Ritual, I can start it off with an Orim's Chant, and then they can't counter anything. And then they'll have a Cruel Reality on them, and next turn all their creatures are going away. So that sounds good to me. Tutor decks are difficult, but they in exchange for difficulty, you get a great deal of power. We can do that, yes. Okay, so first, Orim's Chant to you. I would like for you to not be able to cast any spells this turn. Okay, sure. Yeah, your Illuminator Virtuoso phases out. Cool. So obviously it would be better if we're able to get this Cruel Reality into play for free off of our Curse of Misfortunes, but we'll take hard casting it. That also works. I think it is unlikely that they will be able to kill us when their creatures have no abilities. But, you know, weirder things have happened. We shall see. We are going to 9, and they do get to loot. Who knows, maybe they have a Stifle. Stifle, also not legal in this format. Like, they could potentially have, I don't know, a bounce spell. Like, if they have a bounce spell for the Overwhelming Splendor, then that could be bad. But it looks like they don't have anything. So we're going to do our thing. We get the kill all of your stuff 1, and then we pass the turn. +1/+1 counters mean that a 0/0 can still stay on the battlefield, which is annoying, but the Cruel Reality cleans up anything else. Okay, cool. Blue-white auras. What do we want versus blue-white auras? Duress good. Duress can take their counter spells. Duress can also take the rest of their stuff. We want the removal spells. I think Orim's Chant bad. Like, mostly we are going to use that to force through our counter spells. Yeah, so we bring in the removal spells, we bring in, or we keep in the Duresses, Phyrexian Unlife, good for just gaining life. I kind of want to cut a card for this second Boseiju. Defense Grid also probably fine versus them. What card would we cut? I think I preferred Duress over Defense Grid though, because they are an aggressive creature deck, and so we want to be able to proactively take away their disruption. And Duress is also able to take the cards that might kill us. Actually, I guess not really. It's good for clearing the way, but Okay, this is probably crazy, but I'm going to cut a basic Plains for the Boseiju. Do we want the Banishing Light? I feel like probably no, but the Ruined Halo, second Ruined Halo probably good enough. I'm out of time. Let's just run it like it is. So I could bring in the Temple Acolytes as blockers, but typically heroic creatures get far bigger than Temple Acolyte can block. And as we saw with their security bypass there is no guarantee that... oh, this hand is weird. We have Dark Ritual into Curse of Death's Hold, which is going to be good, but probably not good enough on the play. Or, sorry, on the draw. And we also have the Dovescape in hand, which we basically never want to draw. Okay. Well, this hand is a mole. This hand is great. We are going to keep... Oh, I want to keep all of these. I guess we'll only keep one Dark Ritual and one land, because... I think Dark Ritual is probably one of our better cards in this matchup, because we can surprise them. With the 2 Dark Rituals and the 2 lands, if we draw a 3rd land in an Enduring Ideal, we can cast it on turn 3. So, oh, okay, there's a Profane Tutor. Also a good draw. That lets us Enduring Ideal on turn 4. Assuming they have nothing. Okay, Seal of Cleansing. Excuse me. Seal of Cleansing is good versus the Curse of Misfortunes plan. However, it also gets turned off by Overwhelming Splendor, so it is not that good. I'm very happy that that is their turn 2 play instead. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay, if their play is just draw Lotus, we are in a very good spot. Like, if they try to mana leak this Profane Tutor here, I will just spend a Dark Ritual to be okay. Okay, Meddling Mage is annoying. This probably names Enduring Ideal. Could name Profane Tutor. Yeah, that is annoying. Okay. So we won't be able to get the Profane Tutor off, but this also means that they're not naming Enduring Ideal, so if we draw Enduring Ideal, could be okay. Alright, I'm just going to jam this Phyrexian Unlife. 3 mana, gain 10, generally pretty good. It also lets us see what interaction they have. Okay, Spell Pierce is fine. We have Spell Pierce covered with our triple Dark Ritual draw. Oh, Ethersworn Canonist means that our Dark Rituals are no longer live, unfortunately. Oh, that's kind of fun. So we do need a removal spell here, or this Meddling Mage is going to take over the game. I could see losing this game. It is, in fact, possible. Especially since even with the Lotus Bloom, we're not able to cast our 7-drops like Cruel Reality, thanks to this Ethersworn Canonist. Honestly, if we draw a removal spell, we're probably killing the Canonist. And honestly, like, Well, I was going to say we could surprise them with the Shambling Vent block, but yeah, no longer a surprise because they killed our Lotus Bloom. This is a Duress to get back the Seal of Cleansing. That is pretty good. That is pretty good. So we need, okay, Condemn is good. I wish our lands were a little bit different, because if our lands were a little bit different, we could Dark Ritual, activate Shambling Vent, and Condemn all in one. I still think I'm going to condemn this Meddling Mage here. Just to stop them from drawing some more cards. Interesting that they're not casting the Seal of Cleansing. Okay, well, here's a blocker. Feeling pretty dead, but, you know, always game 3. Yep, there's the Seal of Cleansing back. And with this Ethersworn Canonist on board, I think we are officially dead. Cool. GG's. Okay, so they are a heavier creature deck than I was anticipating. I think we want a few, like, maybe minus Duress plus these removal spells. Like, Ruined Halo seems good against them because we can proactively stop their creatures, and they can't, like, slip out the back, for example, their creature, to keep it alive because we're not actually killing it. We're just stopping it from doing anything to us. Okay, this hand is great. We've got a Boseiju to beat up the counterspells. We've got the Enduring Ideal to cast to win the game. We've got this Profane Tutor to find like a Dark Ritual or something. Okay, so what do we want to play here? I think just Plains, Profane Tutor, Suspend. That was incorrect. We should have played the Saltcrusted Steppe so that we could play Boseiju tapped next turn and still activate to put a counter on it. We'll see if it matters. Depending on what we draw, we may just be playing out a Solitary Confinement. That's a great draw. Because our Profane Tutor is not going to be able to cast an Enduring... if we get Profane Tutor Dark Ritual next turn, we will not be able to cast the Enduring Ideal anyway. That is only 6 mana. So I am going to play the Saltcrusted Steppe to get this ticking up. Meddling Mage, huh? Okay, so that probably names Profane Tutor. Yeah. Good thing we played the Saltcrusted Steppe. Okay, so we don't get to cast the Profane Tutor, but... Ooh, that's fun. Okay. I am going to go ahead and murder their favorite hoplite with this Hagra Mauling. I think the only way we lose this game at this point is if they kill us before we can cast an Enduring Ideal with Boseiju backup. Yep, you got a Staggering Insight. So they're going to draw a bunch of cards, including a bunch of counterspells, but they have to race our Saltcrusted Steppe, basically. And a 3/3 is not going to be able to race the Saltcrusted Steppe. Yep, there's the Canonist, but that's fine. We only need to cast one spell at this point. Okay, here's a Shambling Vent. I'm going to go ahead and cast this Phyrexian Unlife because we drew the extra land. Because this gives us 1, 2, 3, 4. Do we pay for that? Yeah, I think we pay for that. It is a little bit awkward. So next turn, so we're taking 5 next turn, going to 4. We need to take 2 off the Boseiju to make our Enduring Ideal uncounterable. Oh, that's fine, because we're going to have Shambling Vent as a blocker. Okay, yeah. So as long as... Oh, wow, that just resolved. All right, well, this game is probably over at this point, because we are going to cast this Enduring Ideal. Because that just resolved, we probably just get Dovescape to stop them from... Oh no, is this... Ah, I see. Okay. Unfortunate. Now we can't play uncounterable Enduring Ideal, because if we take 2 from Boseiju, we do just die. How about a Solitary Confinement? So here's the plan. We're going to Solitary Confinement. We're going to attack with the Shambling Vent. And then next turn... Okay, that worked. So here's the black mana. Here's some white mana. Does this work? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, okay, so we have 7 lands in play here. What we can do is we can gain 2 light... Oh, shoot. Okay, it lets me undo that. If we gain 2 life off of this Shambling Vent, then we will be able to cast an uncounterable Enduring Ideal next turn. Hopefully they don't see it. Okay, cool. So we can't take damage this turn. On our upkeep, we're going to discard this Curse of Misfortunes. Of course, if they have another Seal of Cleansing, then we do just lose. But I think this gives us our best bet, because their hand has got to be full of counterspells. Okay, cool. We survived. So now we we get an uncounterable Enduring Ideal. The first card we're going to get with this is going to be a Shadow of the Second Sun, because that untaps our Shambling Vents. It also unfortunately means we lose the Solitary Confinement, but I think that'll be okay. Because we are also going to get Overwhelming Splendor, which means their creatures don't have text, basically. So now, as long as we can avoid tapping this Boseiju for mana, I think we're good. Let's see. They can't activate Seal of Cleansing. Unless they have removal spells from my Shambling Vent, they can't attack. Okay, so here's a black, here's a white, here's a 1. Okay. Whew. Sheesh. I am not dead, which means that I am probably winning. Yeah, slip out the back is a-okay with me. Because now we get to attack with our Shambling Vent to gain back some life. Notably, our opponent could have won there by slip out the back on our Shambling Vent to prevent us from blocking. Very cool games. Okay, cool. And now the game is over. We get to Enduring Ideal. I think for a starter, we'll probably get the Curse of Death's Hold. And then after that, we'll get Dovescape once we've gained a little bit of life. Oh, my heart is pounding. Oh my god. Whoo, okay, alright. Very close games there from the heroic player. Okay, so just to complete the lock, we're going to get a Dovescape. Now, all of their creatures are base 0/0, which means this Meddling Mage gets to stick around because it's got an aura and a +1/+1 counter. Oh, okay. Whew. But all of their non-creature spells get immediately countered without any reward. Wow, what a match. I'll see y'all in the next round after I take a long breather. Alright, here we are back for the next round of the Penny Dreadful 500. So I was watching some matches last time. Lit Kakashi is on mono blue librarians. They are on the play, so this hand is a little rough because we might just spend our Dark Ritual into Curse of Misfortunes and get it countered, but, you know, maybe we don't. I think this hand will be good enough. Let's find out. And, oh, rip. This Lotus Bloom is going to be good in terms of forcing our opponent to interact with us. So if they, for example, tap out for a Forbid on our turn 4, then we can Dark Ritual, Curse of Misfortunes, and probably win the game. I think in game 1 we are probably not favored because they do have a lot of counterspells and we don't have a whole lot of ways to deal with the counterspells. But games 2 and 3 we should be good because of the... okay, that's interesting. I think we don't draw from Lore Master so that we can just slam this Ruined Halo. And then on turn 3, it depends on what they do. If they like tap out for a Chrome Host Seed Shark, then we will definitely just Dark Ritual Curse of Misfortunes. But if they don't, then, you know, we will probably just draw. Oh wow, that is probably the best draw in our deck, because it provides yet another thing for them to have to counterspell next turn. So I'm going to play this Saltcrusted Steppe so we can start ticking it up. Honestly, just landing a Cruel Reality is probably going to be enough versus this deck. Oh, interesting. They're the Cutthroat version. Sure. So Cutthroat keeps its counters even after it loses all of its abilities. But that should be okay. Like, as long as it doesn't get too large, our Shambling Vent can keep it in check. Okay, how do we manage our mana next turn? I think we might Orim's Chant before our Lotus Bloom resolves. Yeah, because if they have a repeal, which they might, then they can pull this Lotus Bloom back to our hand and set us back to the Stone Ages, basically. Okay, so now here's a question. Do we Dark Ritual? Yes. We can Dark Ritual to effectively counter the mana leak, and then that still gives us enough mana to cast this Curse of Misfortunes off of the Lotus Bloom. Yeah, sure, you have another Cutthroat. Okay, so now we get to curse you. I think we will do the Curse of Misfortunes just because being able to turn off all of their abilities is very nice, even though these Cutthroats are going to, this Cutthroat in particular is still going to be a 3/3. We can figure out how to force through this Curse of Death's Hold, or this, oh wait, we can cast the Curse of Death's Hold and then use the Curse of Misfortune to put it back on our deck. This is beautiful. If they don't have a repeal here, things are not going to go well for them. No! The Cyclonic Rift! Ah! Look at what you did to my boy! Okay, no, I will not draw an extra card with Lore Master. So we're probably dead here, because odds are good they have, like, they have a way to interact with it, to counter our spells. But, just in case they don't, let's try again. Yeah, okay. Well, that's probably the game. Good to know about Cyclonic Rift. Normally against this deck, I would never get Dovescape first, just because you don't need it. But if they're running Cyclonic Rift, that's a way to bounce our enchantments that is not a creature. So yeah, like I said, I think game one is pretty bad because we are a giant 7 mana spell deck, and they are a deck that is primarily built on counter spells. We are dead here. Yep, okay. So let's go to game 2, where we get a lot more tools. So what tools do we get in game 2? Boseiju, defense grid. Again, we'll cut a plains. Curse of Silence, not as good. Phyrexian Unlife, probably unnecessary. Yeah. They are kind of aggro-y, but they're not that aggro-y. Ruined Halo, good. And at least Ruined Halo good enough to stay in, I think. Condemn, Disfigure, probably fine. Condemn probably better than the others because we can cast it on their turn after they've gotten a Lore Master trigger. Orim's Chant is just okay. Like, as we saw there, it can draw out some counterspells, but ultimately it's hard to make it worth a card. I honestly might cut the second Chant for the first Disfigure. And the good news is that our opponent is undefeated as well as we are. So if we lose to them, then we are probably guaranteed to still get into the top 8, even if we lose again in round 7. Who knows? The matchmaking algorithm works in mysterious ways. Okay, this hand is great. We've got a Curse of Misfortunes to cast, we've got a Disfigure to kill their first threat, we've got a Timeless Dragon to reanimate just in case they get frisky. Opponent probably mulliganing to counterspells. Maybe they had an all-land hand or an all-spell hand in the opener. One of the nice things about this deck is the suspend spells are great into counterspells because they let you fight on a future turn instead of the current turn. Is this a Lore Master? Yeah, okay. I don't think I'm casting any spells this turn. I want to draw a land, so let's draw a card. That's not a land, unfortunately. So we will have to plane cycle for a land. But the nice thing about Timeless Dragon is that you can't counter Timeless Dragon. I mean, you kinda can with Repeal, but generally you can't. This Profane Tutor, if it resolves, is going to get a Boseiju. They're not going to kill us fast enough for us to not be able to get up to Enduring Ideal mana. And they don't have a way to beat or to counter a Boseiju Enduring Ideal, usually. Okay, there's Boseiju. Also nicely hits our land drops. You know what? I could draw an extra card here, and then just play my land and make a Timeless Dragon. I don't think I want to do that. I think instead what I will do is duress them to see what they have in hand, and then if they Brineborn Cutthroat or something, we can disfigure it before they get a chance to untap. Yeah, or like a Malcolm or something. Okay, I think we take Mana Leak here. And then I could suspend this Profane Tutor, but I think I want to be able to pay for Spell Pierce when they deploy their next threat. Yes, you have a Malcolm. And I have a Disfigure. Okie dokie. Yeah, especially with this Shambling Vent and this Timeless Dragon and Cyclonic Rift nowhere in sight, I think we will be okay. Scavenger Grounds is funny. I don't know why it's in their deck. I guess to stop us from looping things with Hall of Heliod's Generosity, but... Oh, Defense Grid, also good. Do we want to do that? Like, we can pay for Spell Pierce here. Yeah, okay, cool. We will again refuse to draw a card so that we can play this Defense Grid. This card is very good against their deck. Like, yes, uncounterable things with Boseiju is good, but the fact that they now have to pay 4 mana for their Spell Pierce is great. Assuming it resolves. Probably not resolving. Oh, okay. If they just have, like, double Spell Pierce, then Defense Grid also very good. Oh, nothing. Great. In that case, I'm probably just slamming a Curse of Misfortunes next turn. Or maybe a Timeless Dragon, who knows. We'll see what I draw. If I don't draw land, then I'm probably using the Lore Master ability and then bringing back the Timeless Dragon. If I draw like Dark Ritual, then I'm just going to cast an Enduring Ideal. Okay, shields are down. They are not able to cast any spells next turn. Am I dead? 1, 2, plus 9. This is lethal, so I cannot just slam a Curse of Misfortunes. Unfortunate. And we didn't draw land, so I think we just draw an extra card and bring back a Timeless Dragon. I don't think it's going to be enough because they almost certainly have like Cyclonic Rift in their deck, for example, but who knows? Maybe. Yep, cool. Well, GG's opponent. Yeah, the mono blue counterspell deck, pretty good against the deck that's trying to resolve a 7 mana spell. I never would have guessed. Alright, I'll see y'all back for the next round. Alright everyone, we're back for round 7, the final Swiss round of the Penny Dreadful 500 against mono black control. This hand would be awesome if one of these lands made black. I think I'm going to have to trust in the Heart of the Cards to deliver to us a black land or an Enduring Ideal. Either one of those would be quite good. Solitary Confinement, close second, I suppose. The nice thing about Saltcrusted Steppe is that... What? Dark Ritual Sign Blood? Is there a discard spell coming? No, okay. Just a suspended Profane Tutor. Sure. Well, that was not a land, unfortunately, not even a white one. So we're just gonna start taking up this Saltcrusted Steppe. Sure. Yeah. Saltcrusted Steppe doing a reasonable job. Ooh, interesting. This comes off suspend next turn. We'll have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. That's enough for a Cruel Reality. We could Curse of Silence them, naming Lost Legacy, but I don't think that we need to at this point. I think we can just tick up the Saltcrusted Steppe again and have enough mana to potentially Overwhelming Splendor them next turn. Because that'll be 1, 2, 3, 6 from the Lotus Bloom, 7, 8 from Dark Ritual is enough to cast an Overwhelming Splendor. Of course, their Duress is going to take one of our cards, probably the Dark Ritual, if I had to guess. But the good news is that even if they take the Dark Ritual, if we draw untapped land next turn, we can still cast this Cruel Reality, and mono black, it turns out, not very good at dealing with enchantments. Yeah, I do not envy Tom's choice here. All of these cards, well, Splendor, Reality, Dark Ritual, all kind of hard cards to deal with in their own right. If I were Tom, depending on the composition of their hand, oh, interesting. That's not at all what I would have taken. Yeah, you have a Nighthawk Scavenger, and I have a Cruel Reality. And a land, too. So we can even go black, black, black. I don't even need to burn this Dark Ritual. I could just use the counters off of my Saltcrusted Steppe. But, so this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I think I would rather Duress them. Oh, okay. I see. Interesting. So we can take the Invoke Despair, and then we can Dark Ritual, that makes 4 mana, and then Saltcrusted Steppe makes 8 mana. Then we can Curse of Silence and Cruel Reality. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. It is a very good thing that we... It is a very good thing that we did that. Duress, just to clear the way, because otherwise they were going to just slam that Invoke Despair and eat our Cruel Reality or Overwhelming Splendor, whichever one we took. I still don't think it was correct to take the Solitary Confinement, but, you know... Okay. Okay, Profane Tutor was the draw for the turn. Phyrexian Unlife pretty good. Caves of Koilos also good. It means that we can suspend this Profane Tutor and start the clock ticking with the Saltcrusted Steppe. Like, if we draw untapped land in 2 turns, oh wow, they are taking a lot of damage here. If we draw untapped land in the next 2 turns, then this Profane Tutor can find us a, what's it called? The Enduring Ideal that we need. Or we can draw a Dark Ritual, that also works. Okay, please sacrifice a creature. Thank you. They will be able to find another Invoke Despair with this Profane Tutor. I don't think it's going to matter. They could get a Binding Negotiation. That would be pretty good. No, I will not sacrifice Curse of Silence to invoke Despair. I would prefer to sacrifice it to invoke Despair. Okay, cool. And then here we can get the Splendor, or the Enduring Ideal. Unfortunately, Splendor is in hand, but it doesn't matter. Dark Ritual. Five, 6, 7. Ideal. We'll get Shadow. We'll attach Shadow to ourselves. Then we get to untap, upkeep, and draw again. And this time we will go get a Dovescape just to prevent any non-creature shenanigans from happening. Hall of Heliod's Generosity is awesome here because we can eventually, well, we can like put the Solitary Confinement on top of our deck and then put the Overwhelming Splendor on top of our deck. There's a Blast Zone that is an out for them, kind of, but not a very fast out because they have to tick it up to 6 before we get this Splendor running. Okay, so we'll just Curse of Death's Hold. Give your creatures -1/-1. Here's a Hall of Heliod's Generosity. Let's go ahead and put the Solitary Confinement on top now. And then we can put a storage counter on the Saltcrusted Steppe. And then what we can do is grab the Solitary Confinement. Next turn, we can discard the Overwhelming Splendor to Confinement, and then put it back on top with our Hall, and then fetch it up with Enduring Ideal. So one of the secret lines of text on Overwhelming Splendor is that opponent can't activate abilities. Very, very good for many reasons, primarily in that it stops Blast Zone from happening. Although at this point it's kind of moot, because if they let this Cruel Reality live another turn, they will die to their Phyrexian Arena anyway. Yep, you got a Grave Titan. And I have an Overwhelming Splendor. Okay, and so, as we said before, we're going to discard this Overwhelming Splendor. Then, before we search for a card, we're going to put it back on top of our deck. And now, the game is over. I mean, the game was probably over like a turn or two ago when we cast Enduring Ideal, but now opponent can't cast non-creature spells, can't, yeah, cool. Alright, so what do we want here? Orim's Chant is kind of cute versus the Orim's Chant is cute versus the Dark Ritual and Profane Tutor package, but I honestly don't think it's that great. Like, I would rather have another Runed Halo. Curse of Silence, reasonable if we pick a card in their hand that they actually have. Which makes sense. They don't always have it, though. So, not a whole lot to bring in here. We could bring in one Condemn for their stuff, for their creatures that are attacking, but honestly, Hagra Mauling probably does the trick. Phyrexian Unlife. They're not... I think they're probably not aggressive enough for us to want Phyrexian Unlife. I would rather have some other random card. Nah, we'll leave it in. I'm not sure how to sideboard for this matchup, but I think it is roughly a good matchup anyway. Okay, this hand doesn't have a lot of action, but we're going to get shredded anyway, so probably fine to just keep a hand that has a lot of mana in it. No Duress is good for us. Here's a Lotus Bloom. So this deck is secretly a 2-card combo deck. It's got two 2-card combos. The first of the 2-card combos is Dark Ritual, Curse of Misfortunes. The second of the 2-card combos is Lotus Bloom and Enduring Ideal. We had both Dark Ritual and Lotus Bloom in our hand at the start of the game, which means that we just need to draw the other piece in order for our combo to win. Yep. So this probably names Enduring Ideal, in which case we are in a bit of trouble. Oh, really? Okay, well that is wrong. The card to name here is Enduring Ideal because Cruel Reality is one of many win conditions. If I have an Enduring Ideal resolved, then I will get my lock pieces and kill you with Shambling Vents. I guess Cruel Reality is kind of difficult to deal with if I were to just draw it off the top of my deck, but it is a 1 of versus a 4 of, so... And there's our, there's our 4 of. And with the Lotus Blooms coming off suspend next turn, we can cast it. Although, my guess is this Profane Tutor is going to stop any of those shenanigans. Probably going to Lost Legacy, the Enduring Ideal at this point. My picks for Lost Legacy would be Enduring Ideal, then Curse of Misfortunes. Basically anything that gets Overwhelming Splendor. Because Overwhelming Splendor itself, it's really hard to cast. I wonder what they got here. Like, it's probably not a discard spell, because what are the odds that the very next card that we drew is an Enduring Ideal? Close to 0, right? Well, the problem with probabilities is that it's close to 0, but it is never 0. Yeah, my apologies, Tom, if you're watching this back. I'm not replying because I'm commentating over the match. I wonder if Tom is deciding between casting a Phyrexian Arena or casting a Lost Legacy. Okay, decided to Lost Legacy. Yeah, Dovescape is a reasonable name because it stops and lets you continue casting your spells. However, yeah, I think it's not good enough here. Like, I just cast my Enduring Ideal. I start drawing a million cards a turn. And by a million cards a turn, I mean 1 extra card a turn plus 2 additional cards. So to prevent, drawing the combo pieces that I want to tutor into play for free, I'm going to get a Solitary Confinement. It also has the nice upside of insulating us from any sort of additional Lost Legacy effects, but really it is mostly just, yeah, you've got a Phyrexian Arena, you got it. Really it is just because the only way we lose the game at this point is drawing some of the cards that we wanted to tutor up. Okay, let's just go ahead and get a Curse of Misfortunes. And then we can discard this Boseiju because it doesn't matter. We'll fire up the Shambling Vent because that's going to be our win condition now that Cruel Reality is gone. So I got Curse of Misfortunes here for a couple reasons. First, it gets a number of cards. It gets like the same number of cards out of our deck as if we were to just go for Overwhelming Splendor first. But also, okay, let's Rune Halo name Invoke Despair. I think that's I think there's like 2 ways for them to kill enchantments. One of them is Invoke Despair. But yeah, anyway, Curse of Misfortunes gets the same number of enchantments out of our deck because we get another upkeep on our end step. We also have this nice little clock here of Phyrexian Arena. Okie dokie. Here's the Curse of Death's Hold. Blunk. And just for good measure, what do we want to get with this one? We'll get another Curse of Misfortunes, just for giggles. I'm going to go ahead and stop having the Solitary Confinement because we just don't need it anymore. Like, at this point, our win condition is Shambling Vent. If they come up with something... I'm gonna also stop fetching with cards. I don't think there's anything else that I care about. If they show us something to care about, like a Planeswalker, for example, then we can name it with Rune Halo and get protection. Otherwise, we'll just have to go for the next 5 turns or so with the Shambling Vent plus the Phyrexian Arena and kill them like that. Yep, okay. Choking Sands takes out our Shambling Vent, so we'll just have to wait another 14 turns. Or less. Here's another Shambling Vent. Notably, we are never going to deck out because at some point we will draw our Hall of Heliod's Generosity, which lets us put our Solitary Confinement on top of our deck. And then Solitary Confinement stops us from drawing cards. Yeah, you don't get creatures because they come in as 1/1s without abilities, and they get -1/-1. Yeah. One of the nice things about playing random combo decks is that people just don't know how it works. Yeah, I might... Okay, the game is basically over at this point. I might spare you the gory details as Tom wants to play it out. Alright. And there we have it. After a couple of turns of my opponent killing my Shambling Vents and drawing cards off of Phyrexian Arena, they decided that they do not, in fact, have any outs in their deck. Respect. Okay, cool. On to top 8. Alright, and we are back for the quarterfinals of the Penny Dreadful 500. We are facing off against Bapis with a 1-land hand. We are on the draw. We could get really lucky, but our 1 land only taps for colorless, so I'm going to go ahead and mulligan. This hand's great. It's got some fast mana and some interaction. Here's hoping we draw an Enduring Ideal or a Curse of Misfortune If we get either of those, then we will be good. Broker's Hideout, Plains, sure. Yavimaya Coast. Okay, Jeskai Ascendancy. Cool. We'll Duress you, see what you got going on. That's pretty funny. I guess I'll take the Sisei's Ingenuity because they usually play Repeal. And if we remove their Repeal target, then they have to like repeal their own Sylvan Caryatid. No interaction is great news for us. It means that if we ever do draw something good, then we will just win. Yep. Okay, second Caryatid is fine. We'll jam the Phyrexian Unlife, because why not? This Ruined Halo probably names Fate Stitcher at some point. Sure. Yep. Okay, I'll suspend the Lotus Bloom. Both of our decks not really doing much at the moment. I think at this position I am slightly favored, because if at any point I draw any of our big payoffs, or let's just play this out. If we draw our big payoffs, or Enduring Ideal, or Cruel Reality, or the other one, then we will win the game. And I think that's more likely to happen faster than they draw one of their 7 Jeskai Ascendancies. Frantic Search is a little scary. Yeah, more Birds of Paradise I'm not scared of. So usually this deck runs like Sylvan Awakening to make all of their creatures into lands. If they ever cast a Sylvan Awakening, I will cast Orim's Chant in response. We'll take a little bit of damage, so Sylvan Awakening turns all their lands into 2/2s, basically. It means that they untap from Jeskai Ascendancy, and also get bigger from Jeskai Ascendancy. Oh, okay, well. This is the hand that we kept, so can't complain too much. This is probably Glittering Wish. Yeah, cool. You got a Jeskai Ascendancy to go with it? Or like a cantrip to go with it? Sure. Rip. There's the Fate Stitcher. This is probably a frantic search. To put the Fate Stitcher into the graveyard. Repeal, sure. That's actually great news for us. If they're repealing the Ruined Halo, that means they're going to bring back the Fate Stitcher. And then we can kick an Orim's Chant, and they won't be able to use their Fate Stitcher. Oh, okay. That's strange, but we take it. Okay, here's my Ruined Halo back again. This time we'll name Birds of Paradise. Like I said, with this Orim's Chant in hand, we can effectively counter the Fate Stitcher. So what do they have in their yard? There's a Fate Stitcher. About to be 2 Fate Stitchers. Oh, they just played a Fate Stitcher. Well, that's exciting. I mean, we get to block this Fate Stitcher with the Shambling Vent. It is pretty funny that neither of us are actually doing anything. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair. You get to tap my Shambling Vent with the Fate Stitcher. Fate Stitcher comes back. Add a bunch of mana. Okay, that one, I think we will Orim's Chant with Kicker. Because that draws them extra cards, and I don't want them to have extra cards. Dovescape is awesome. I mean, will they potentially make a bunch of birds and kill us? Yes. Is that fine? Maybe. I guess they're gonna make a bunch of birds here. Oh, can we cast this Dovescape? Can we not cast this Dovescape is another question. I think we gotta wait one more turn. We may just be dead next turn. Weird game. Well, I guess they do have to cast 19 spells. And every spell they cast draws a card. I guess they can find another repeal for the Ruined Halo, and then they only have to cast 10 spells. Yeah, if they go off here, which they probably will, we are likely dead. Neat deck from the opponent here. Alright, I'm gonna stop bluffing and just F6. Like, I don't have anything. They're gonna go through their whole deck. We're probably gonna die. Or they have nothing. Nothing's also good for me. Oh my god. Okay. Sure. Do you have a Laboratory Maniac or something? Like, my opponent can't attack here. Maybe a Brain Freeze, but I don't see a Storm count, so they're probably not playing Storm cards. Oh, I guess the Phyrexian Unlife is also something I have to deal with, huh? Is this like a Blue Sun Zenith for lethal or sort of situation? I am very curious. Oh my god. PD is so amazing because, like, on the one hand you get your normal, like, mono blue tempo decks, and on the other hand you get nonsense like this. Amazing. Oh, probably they're getting a Fireball from the board using Glittering Wish. Yeah. Neat. Love it. Can't get enough of it. Okay, so we kind of flailed around that game. Fortunately, we have a lot of good sideboard cards for this matchup. I think Runed Halo probably bad. Similarly, Phyrexian Unlife probably bad. And Solitary Confinement. Like, the way we win this game is Dovescape. I think Curse of Silence good. Curse of Silence will name Jeskai Ascendancy, just to slow them down. And then, yeah. They probably bring in counterspells, so we'll bring in one Boseiju for a Plains. I have no idea how this matchup is supposed to go. Interesting. Okay. I don't know if this hand is good, but I'm definitely willing to take a chance on it. If this were a swamp instead of a Fetid Heath, I would be over the moon enjoying it. But as it is, we've got the Lotus Bloom, we've got 2 Dark Rituals and an Enduring Ideal, so I think, and a Duress, and an Orim's Chant. Like, all of the non-land cards in this hand are amazing, so the fact that it only has 1 land, I think is okay. If they have a counterspell for our turn for Lotus Bloom, then we will be in trouble unless we draw a colored land. I was about to say a land, but this actually not a colored land. But I don't think their deck can afford to play that many counterspells anyway. So what we can do is when that comes off suspend is we can duress them, and then we can cast an Enduring Ideal off of Dark Rituals. Because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 9 mana. So if that resolves, we're chilling. If it doesn't resolve, we might be dead. Who knows? We'll see. If we draw a land next turn, we also probably win the game. because we go Enduring Ideal for Dovescape. I should specify. If we draw a land that makes colored mana next turn, like one of the planes that we just sided out of our deck. Oh no! My internet has died. I will be back shortly. Alright, and we're back. And lucky us, we drew a land. Unfortunately not an untapped land, so we won't be able to turbo out our Enduring Ideal this turn. However, it does mean that if they try to repeal our Lotus Bloom next turn, we can use Orim's Chant to turn off any of their counterspells and go now. Yep, there's the repeal. Here's the Orim's Chant. Okay, we are free to go. Which means that we get to thank you, Fetid Heath. I know you weren't making colored mana last time, but now you get to make the double white that we need to cast our Enduring Ideal. I think I will start with Shadow of the Second Sun. That might be greedy, like they could have a disenchant effect here. But if they don't, then it's free, because we get another Enduring Ideal trigger, which gets us Dovescape. Okay, cool. Yep. Alright, so that went about as we anticipated. I think we just run it back. Okay, here's another kind of awkward hand, but we are on the draw. We have the colored mana is a little awkward, but we do have a turn 3 Curse of Misfortunes if we draw a colored land. That is a colored land. Yay! Okay. I would have preferred to naturally draw a colored land from this Timeless Dragon, because then we could have, like, Curse of Silence them naming Jeskai Ascendancy or something, but this is also fine. Like, it is technically possible that they kill us next turn. Oh my god, Boseiju. Yeah, this could have been a Plains. Cameo! Exciting. Are you naming like Jeskai Ascendancy here? So one kind of interesting thing to think about here is that actually they will have enough mana next turn to repeal a Curse of Misfortunes. What did they name? Spell Pierce. Okay. So they have Spell Pierce in their deck. They have a repeal in their graveyard. Interesting. So does that mean that we wait? Like, what happens if we just go Curse of Silence on Jeskai Ascendancy? Because then next turn we can Dark Ritual out a Curse of Misfortunes and Orim's Chant on their upkeep if they try to pick up the repeal. like right now, they could just downtick their Tamiyo to pick up the repeal, and then they'll have enough mana to bounce our Curse of Misfortunes. Okay, here we go. They could also have a Spell Pierce. That would be unfortunate. They probably have a Spell Pierce because they didn't name the thing with Tamiyo. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. We have Orim's Chant for protection. Yep. There's a repeal. Sure. Doing nothing is so good for us. Like, we get to Boseiju. Ooh. And we get to Duress. And we get to Curse of Silence. It's like Christmas comes early. This Tamiyo is very good for them, though. I do not deny this. I think we still take the Spell Pierce here. Nah, we'll take the repeal because it draws a card. And then we'll go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they'll have enough to repeal the Curse of Misfortunes regardless. Yeah, let's just... What did we see? Yeah, let's just name repeal anyway. Like, they're probably going to pick up a repeal to deal with this Timeless Dragon eventually, so making them tap more mana is good. Wait, what? I thought we took that. Okay. Okay. I think we will draw the card here. Yes. Dark Ritual? Not bad. Yeah, Dark Ritual means that we can do the thing that we talked about last time, where we Curse of Misfortunes, and then in their upkeep, before they can rebuy the repeal, we can Orim's Chant them. We will need more mana to do that, though, because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What did they name? Jeskai Ascendancy? Okay. And they do not hit a Jeskai Ascendancy. They did hit a Fate Stitcher, which is a little scary. They also reanimated the Fate Stitcher, which means they probably have, like, Jeskai Ascendancy here. Yeah, there's Glittering Wish. Scary. They have a Spell Pierce that we know about. We gotta make him burn it. Probably dead, but we'll find out. Yeah, there's a deep analysis in the graveyard. This makes 3 mana. Cool. Well, we love to lose to another janky combo deck. We'll play it out. There is some small percentage chance that they don't win, but I think the chances are growing smaller by the second. Lamau. Yeah, okay. The Spell Pierce to build Storm. 3 mana, cast a spell. I mean, we could also not be dead here. It would surprise me a great deal if we were not dead here, but it is technically possible. And in the world where we are not dead, we could, in theory, draw Enduring Ideal and cast it off this Dark Ritual to go get a Dovescape. Oh, and also, you know, when I wake up tomorrow morning, somebody else will have bought a lottery ticket in my honor, and we'll have and it'll have won $1 million. Not that you need $1 million to play Penny Dreadful. This tournament is the Penny Dreadful 500 with $500 in prizes. It's completely free to enter, and unlike most Magic formats, the decks themselves cost somewhere between $2 and $5. Lol, they also have Orim's Chant. 7, 13, 17. If they... No, we're just dead. Cool. Good games. So, in addition to untapping all their creatures, Jeskai Ascendancy also gives them all +1/+1 whenever they cast a spell. So, in case you haven't seen this before, this is an excellent example of what their deck is trying to do. You play a Jeskai Ascendancy, you have a bunch of mana dorks, you tap your mana dorks for mana to cast spells, then the spells find you more spells, find you more spells, find you more spells, until eventually your team is large enough to smack your opponent to death. In this case, the opponent is me. And I am dead. I'll let my opponent spin because this is sweet. And boink. Cool. Alright, and that concludes our run through the Penny Dreadful 500. Thanks y'all for those who stuck around to see the very end. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And next season is right around the corner. Let's brew up something as nonsensical as Jeskai Ascendancy. Okay, so top 8 finish for our lovely Enduring Ideal pile of combo deck. Much better than I was expecting, honestly. 7 mana is a lot of mana, even if it does win you the game on the spot. Basically, instead of a 1-card combo, it's a 2-card combo with Dark Ritual and Lotus Bloom being the other 2 cards that you need to have in order to cast the Enduring Ideal. And that is actually one of the flaws of the deck, is that because it is effectively a 2-card combo deck, you can have the wrong half, where you have all payoffs or all ramp. And that's kind of what happened to us in game 1 of the top 8. We kept drawing fast mana, but never drew our payoffs. Obviously, Profane Tutor helps with that, but Magic is a game of variance. Not a whole lot you can do other than that. The other kind of big takeaway is that 7 mana win the game spells, not very good against mana leak. We did okay in our tournament run, and we beat 2 Spell Pierce decks and lost to 2 Spell Pierce decks. I think that indicates that it's a not great matchup for us, even with our sideboard cards and our main deck, Boseiju who shelters all. Just generally our strategy is a bit weak to counter spells. If I were to go back again, I might rework the strategy a little bit. Maybe find like a Luminarch Ascension or something to beat up on the counterspell decks. And then the other thing that I would tweak is the mana base. Timeless Dragon, not very good in this format. It was basically a super tapped Plains most of the time. Would have been better as just a straight up Plains a lot of the time. Second, we have these Fetid Heaths that require colored mana, and we have a lot of colorless lands, and that is a bit of a non-bo. We saw that in a couple games. It was a little dicey. We couldn't always get the colors because we had a Fetid Heath and Hall of Heliod's Generosity, for example. So I would tweak the mana base and maybe stick some cheap threats in the sideboard. Hell, Bitter Blossom could probably work to beat up on the counterspell decks. Other than that, very happy with how it performed. It went really well. And top 8 means I get 30 tickets and Card Hoarder credit from our generous sponsors, Card Hoarder, which I can use to brew stuff next season, season 35. Potentially the first season we get Nadu Winged Wisdom, now that it's banned in basically every other format. So what deck are you looking forward to brewing next season? I am personally very excited for Nadu. Happy brewing!